Hey, Wemberg World Entertainment and the Harry Potter show coming to HBO Max, I believe next year. Well, things are starting to take a turn for the worst when it comes to this. Now, John Lithgow recently made comments about J.K. Rowling. Now, he was avoiding saying anything, but clearly he got pushed back and felt the need to say something where he was like, oh, her ideology on trans and is ironic and stupid and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, John, seriously, shut up, dude. You did the right thing the first time by saying nothing. Because he was brought up that he was getting pushed back for. How dare you accept this role, knowing who the author is and stuff. But he broke a bit of news in that pushback at the start when he was pushing back saying, why would I turn down such a great role? He said one thing that got people very concerned, which was J.K. Well, when I say people, I mean actual hardcore Harry Potter fans who still know, recognise and like J.K. Rowling, is that he said J.K. Rowling has actually absolutely zero involvement with the show. That's concerning because that means they can start changing stuff in the books. Now, we already had the pushback and, controversy over Snape being now Papa Sidhu playing him, a black guy. Well, now we're going to get more news that is exactly what the fans didn't want, didn't ask for, and will be concerned about, because a Harry Potter series star claims the show will explore more than just the books. That is everything you don't want them to do. And this also brings up that question of, you said at the beginning you were going to make this an absolute one-to-one faithful adaptation of the book, which immediately you then did your first casting announcement, which was a race swap. And now this. Oh, we're not just going to follow the books, we're going to do all this other crap. It's like, why would you do this? So let's take a look at this, because this will have people concerned. So the new HBO Harry Potter series was sold to audiences as the chance to finally do what the 8-film run couldn't: adapt J.K. Rowling's books in full without chopping key moments, subplots and character beats to fit a movie runtime. So it's not exactly reassuring to see the cast out promoting the idea that the show will show so much more than the books. Not in the sense of restoring missing material, but in the sense of expanding beyond what's on the page. That's the message coming straight from Lox Pratt. Is that how you pronounce it? Lox Pratt? Well, Pratt is obviously, but I think it's Lox is how you pronounce it. The actor cast as Draco Malfoy. And if you're a fan who simply wanted the book complete, this marketing push is starting to sound like a warning label. Pratt says the HBO Harry Potter series will broaden perspective beyond Harry's shoulder, and more importantly, will add scenes and moments that simply weren't part of Rowling's original framing. As Pratt puts it, you get to see all the teachers in their little rooms. You get to see Draco at home. I won't spoil too much about that, but there are some brilliant scenes at home where you start to get an insight into how he is. This is exactly where the tension starts. Fans weren't asking for brand new domestic scenes, backstage teacher hangout sequences, or expanding side character point of views. We've already seen this at play from set photos released by the studio showing John Lithgow as Dumbledore. In the photos, Dumbledore is on a beach, and eagle-eyed fans were quick to point out that the original novel, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, never had a scene featuring Dumbledore out on the sand. They were asking for the material already in the books that the film left behind. The movies had no choice but to compress. A series doesn't have that excuse. So when the marketing starts to sound like we're adding instead of we're finally delivering what was cut, it inevitably raises the question, why are we expanding the story before finishing the source material properly? And that is one of the big issues you're going to end up having here, is like, why are you doing this? Like, what makes you think people want to see Malroy at home? Like, the whole thing about his character is you're watching him become, like, he starts off really as the bully, but you see him becoming more and more of that bully at the school. And you realise that it's coming from pressure from his father. So those scenes in the movies in particular, when he comes face to face with his father and his mother are really kind of putting the pressure on him. You know, it's better that you get the minimalist approach of the pressure being put on to Malfoy than to show us it constantly happening. You know, watching him sit down for his dinner with his parents and the parents start at him and at him and at him. It has more weight to it when it's in small doses like it is in the movies. And then, of course, by the end, you know, he doesn't want to actually go with the father and the mother. He doesn't want to join Voldemort and stuff, you know, but he still feels that weight of his father pressuring him into it. So if you're going to start adding scenes like that, you're going to really kind of water down the impact, at least in my opinion, you're going to water down the impact of Draco's character, what he becomes, how he becomes there, and how he ends up turning out by the end. So Pratt also openly frames the film version of Draco as too simple, and he praises the show for moving in a different direction. That right there is already incredibly concerning for what I've pretty much just explained with the character. So he said, because in the films Draco is sort of 2D, he is the snarly villain. I feel like there's so much more. You need to understand why. And you see little glints of it in the film with Lucas and stuff. I think the series is really brilliant. I can't wait to bring it to the screen. Now, obviously, he's not going to crap all over the show and say, oh, you know, we're doing our best, but, you know, can we live up to the movies? You don't know about that. But you just see there, he's already trying to paint Draco as, oh, he's 2D, you know. He was just this simple villain. You never really found out why he became who he became and stuff like that. You did. That's what I just explained. The pressure from his father, who his father is and what his father represents and stuff. That's where the pressure comes from. Adding stuff to that. Even in the books, I'm sure that's how it all gets painted out. So adding to that, you are watering down the character. There's always that thing, you can have too much of a good thing. There's always too much explanation to certain things. Like, when we find out why Darth Vader becomes Darth Vader, it makes sense. But if they went into every single nook and cranny for that it's not just because of his mother's passing and then the fear of losing Padme. If they went deeper into that and just laid out there, oh, well, you know, he was bullied at school and, well, he had this, and one day he had constipation and Watto wouldn't let him leave to go home because he felt... If you made that type of crap, you'd just be like, wow, like, why are we learning all of this when it was such a simple explanation? The anger started when he lost his mother, and the fear of losing Padme convinced him to go further into listening to what Palpatine was telling. That's simple, and it has impact when he changes. And of course, then we end up with Vader sitting down for dinner with Draco Malfoy and the parents and just watching this getting hammered out in episode from episode. You're just going to go, you're watering the character down too much. And don't get me wrong, it's not just going to be with him, because if they're going to expand well beyond the books with a lot of different things, yeah, that's bad news. But what do you guys think? Do you think this is concerning? Do you think the fact that John Lithgow said that J.K. Rowling actually has zero involvement with this show, she has no input or anything, do you think that should be a big red flag? Let me know what you think about all this. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and hit the hype button, all that good stuff. Cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.